Assalamu alaikum. I'm Malik Hodge, an Israel warrior of the Midwest and a messenger of the covenant, representing the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the seven seals, the self-taught one, Master Suleiman, has given us the Injil, the gospel revelations, with the Injil key that gives us the understanding of the unseen scriptures. This is Update with Malik Hodge on this 10th day of September 2022. This is where we take current events and give the understanding of them from the Injil perspective, the unsealed scriptures, the 22 chapters of Revelation. This is where we take each topic and give you the understanding of how it fits with what's taking place right now in today's world, today's situations, and what's happening in and around the world from the Injil perspective. So let us begin. We're going to begin with the situation in Jackson, Mississippi. Clean water is largely inaccessible in Jackson. Volunteer groups are working tirelessly to get cases to panicked residents. The predominantly black city has dealt with ongoing water troubles with Republican Governor Tate Reeves declaring a state of emergency late last month. And weeks before that, the city was placed under a boil water notice. Over time, we will learn not to drink the water from the faucet. We had to use a filter or something, but you can understand the desperation when you can't take a shower with the water. You can't brush your teeth with the water. You can't cook with the water, said Womack, 48, the program director of Operation Good, a community organization. We were using no rinse wipes at the start of this crisis. It was horrible. Reeves has called in the state's National Guard to help mitigate the crisis. Nothing that the loss of water pressure has created a condition of disaster and extreme peril. President Joe Biden approved the state's emergency declaration request and promised federal aid, sending in federal emergency management agency to aid the disaster relief efforts. The water system emergency in Jackson is a result of communication from the Pearl River, complications from the Pearl River flooding, which caused the QB Curtis water plant to fail, resulting in low or no water pressure for many residents. But years of infrastructure issues have made clean, reliable water largely inaccessible, with service disruptions, boil water advisories, and possible exposure to lead and coli in 2021. A cold snap left parts of the city without power, further exacerbating the existing issues. Residents long familiar with these challenges have made do as best they can, boiling water, storing it in bathtubs, rationing bottles of water, and sometimes relying on public facilities for water needs. In 2020, report from the Environment Protection Agency highlighted the major issue in Jackson water systems, including failure to replace lead pipes, inadequate staffing, and facility monitoring equipment. In this latest water crisis, grassroots groups largely made up of Jackson residents have stepped up to meet the community's needs by distributing hundreds of cases of bottled water and other supplies. Groups such as Operation Good, Corporation Jackson, and Immigration Alliance for Justice and Equality of Mississippi, and many others have worked tirelessly in recent weeks to provide clear water to residents. This started around the beginning of August, and we perceived through that and delivered water to schools. Womack said of Operation Good. Now it's been more hectic, and a lot of citizens need water, not just the schools. The urgency of needing drinking water is there. Panic has kicked in slightly. We've been able to buy water and keep citizens in our area supplied. We've been unified in this time of need. Womack estimated Operation Good has given out more than 700 cases of water to Jackson residents in a single day. He said the work of the organization has helped to somewhat ease the crisis, but there is still an atmosphere of panic in the city of 150,000 residents, nearly 83% of them black. Maddie Coates, an organization with Corporation Jackson, is familiar with disruption The 19-year-old is originally from Jackson, but returned to the city 3 years ago after living in North Carolina. She said she had four siblings and her parents lived together and struggled to cope with the water crisis while they bathed in the tap water and used it to brush their teeth. They rely on bottled water for cooking and drinking. She said her family can't even rely on the bottled water to drink. We have young children in the family, she said, and boil, you can't boil the lead out of the water. She and her family, like many of Jackson residents, have been living off bottled water for years with Cooperation Jackson. Coates has helped set up water distribution around the city, providing hundreds of cases of water to residents in a single day. It's kind of like a tornado, she said, of the drive. The water goes really fast. None of our giveaways have lasted more than 2 hours. A lot of people are in a state of survival, especially people who have children or other people to take care of. So people have been going all around the city and collecting water everywhere that's giving it out for free. So we're gonna stop there on that. They're experiencing this water turmoil, this problem that Jackson, Mississippi doesn't have running water. And then the water has a lot of land in it that is coming through the faucets. And the people, which are 83% black people, are suffering. Not having water, children needing water, trying to find bottled water. Living in this type of conditions right here in America. And this has been going on. They've been living like this for over close to 2 months now. The water has been off for weeks. But the boil notice was 30 days prior to the water just being inaccessible. Pressure out, either low pressure or no pressure. People have to live in these conditions. Insane. After, going through this Holocaust, and still, having to go through this in Jackson, but looking around And the other cities and counties are not affected in this way. And Jackson is not a young county or young city. This is an old city that has old lead pipes. And you you kind of hear them saying or getting on the mayor of Jackson. How much? I mean, he has to know the situation in Jackson is. He has to know the situation. He had to know something about it. And the level of the magnitude of the problem is great. Now, when you look at it, they said to fix it, like literally to fix it, will take months. And the price tag on it was $1 billion plus. Now, what do you start when thinking on that? And you know that's not a small problem that happened in a small time that came in just a couple years or 2 or 3 years or whatnot. This is a problem that's been lurking in um, um, festering for many of years for it to be at this level, this level of this level that is in. It's unaccessible. And not just that, yes, they had a lot of floods that pushed or went and, you know, that added to the problem and caused it to deteriorate faster. But this is not a new problem. So there's many people that knew this problem was existing, and something where it's 150,000 people dependent on this system that is paying bills to this company, and this company, the governor, you know, basically this crisis should have been long, with months and so many board notices. The situation was known, and what can the people of the city of Jackson do when a lot of them are, can't be rich? 150,000, 83% of them black. low income families and people with families, and they can't just get up and leave now because in the condition, that's what you know, with lead being in the water, you can't bathe with it. Your situation is, and I know they're thinking like, well, um, if they work somewhere in the area, can they just get up, leave their job? It's a process, something you have to think about. And saying that, and to be in this situation like this in today's time in America, that this is this is a serious crisis, and this should have been uh, pointed out, and something should have been worked out far and long in advance. But he said because of it being in a black city, it it the the response of awareness or the reaction to correct the problem wasn't taken um, as it should have been taken. It shouldn't have been. It just wasn't um, um, dealt with properly because of all the signs that were shown before they got to this point, and it wasn't pushed from the mayor to the governor, pushed around and said how much money it would take. Now you're looking at $1 billion in months to fix it. That should have been pushed. Something should have been said on behalf of the people there. Uh, However, this is what's taking place, and it's something to pay attention to because where it happened at, where Michigan and Flint. Now it's in Jackson. So it's not something to be taken lightly, but uh, the way it's been handled is really it hasn't been handled right in the not from the I don't know from the mayor to the governor, but the response of it in the way that it's being um, uh, dealt with, it's not being dealt with like if it was a white city, and it'll be dealt with a lot more severe than what it's being dealt with now. So if it was 83% white, I guarantee you it wouldn't be the situation wouldn't be like it is now. So let us move on to our next topic. Our next topic is Putin. Okay. Putin. Putin knocks the West. Putin mocks the West, says Russia is gaining from Ukraine conflict and will press on. I'm sure that we haven't lost anything, Putin said Wednesday at an economic forum in the far eastern port city of Vladivostok. Wow. Russian President Vladimir Putin mocked the West's response to his invasion of Ukraine on Wednesday, insisting that the country had not lost anything after sanctions frenzy, vowing that Moscow would press on with its military actions. He said that Russia had resisted the economic, financial, and technical aggression of the West. I'm sure that we haven't lost anything and we won't lose anything, Putin told an annual account, uh, economic forum in Russia. For eastern port city of Vladimir, the most important gain in this strengthening of our sovereignty, it's an inevitable inevitable result of what's going on. He added that the economic and financial action situations in Russia has stabilized consumer prices, inflation had slowed down, and unemployment has remained low. Putin said that a certain polarization is taking place both in the world and inside the country. Something he said he thought was only for the best. Everything unnecessary, harmful, and everything that keeps us from moving forward will be abandoned, he said, adding that the Western sanctions were a danger to the entire world, taking aim at foreign corporations that had pulled out of Russia since the invasion. Putin said that many European companies were now folding because of their choice to leave. He added that the Western attempts to cap prices for Russian oil and gas were stupid, and Moscow will have enough customers in Asia. The demand is so high on global markets that we won't have any problem selling it, Putin said. Any attempt to limit prices by administrative means is just grabbing its sheer nonsense, he added. It was only led to a hike in prices. It will only lead to a hike in prices. The confrontation with the West over Ukraine has prompted Russia to embark on a hurried hit toward Asia and particularly China, once a junior partner of the former Soviet Union and now the world's second largest economy. Emerging states and regions around the world, primarily, of course, in the Asia Pacific region, now play a substantial bigger role, he said. Putin said that the West was failing because a brutal and aggressive attempt to isolate Russia with sanctions was destroying the global economy, just as Asia was rising to claim the future. Putin and the Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, will meet next week at a summit in Uzbekistan. A Russian office told the Association Press on Wednesday. If it goes ahead, it will be Xi's first foreign big in two and a half years. The pair last met in Beijing in February, weeks before the Kremlin sent troops into Ukraine. Putin also rejected the European Union argument that Russia was using energy as a weapon by suspending gas supplies via the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline in Germany. He referred the Russian argument that Western sanctions have hampered maintenance of the last turbine that remains in operation, forcing its shutdown. Putin repeated that Moscow stands ready to press the button and start pumping gas as early as tomorrow, though the Nord Stream 2, which has been put on hold by the Germans authorities. So this is Putin, and they're going back and forth. He's basically saying that Russia hasn't lost anything. They're basically really gained. However, the EU, America, they're trying to put a cap on their oil, a cap on their gas, price caps, and Putin is just saying that that's just silly. You're hurting yourself. A lot of the your companies are folding because they don't have the oil that they need, the gas that they need to keep their companies rolling. And that while they're doing this, that Putin's saying that he's not going to give them any oil. I mean, if you try to cut, if the Europeans try to cut and oppose this oil cap, then they're not going to get anything. They're not going to get gas. They're not going to get oil. He's going to tear up the contracts because they're he's going to tear up the contracts, and that's going to be it. And he's not going to worry about it. And he's going to go find and produce and market in agents in Africa. It's just too many. He said it's just entirely too many nations of people that still want and need oil and gas. They have to do business. So he's like, you can't hurt the West. Can't hurt them. And the West has Europe them suffering as we get ready to go into this next which goes hand in hand as we go into this our next topic. Our next topic is let this quickly speed this up. But we still got a lot of news to give out. Let's take this. Here we go. European government citizens gear up for the worsening energy crisis. In Italy, last Saturday, people burned their electricity and gas bills on the same day in the Czech Republic capital of Prague. 770,000 people pro- protested the government's approach to skyrocketing consumer prices. And on Tuesday, in Britain, incoming Prime Minister Liz um, Truss vowed to immediately tackle the energy crisis and address the soaring cost of living. For decades, Europe has rolled overwhelmingly on Russia, has relied overwhelmingly on Russia for fossil fuels to run its factories, generate its electricity, and heat its homes. Now, in countries across the continent, citizens and governments alike are feeling the bitter impact of Moscow's 6-month-old war in Ukraine, which has already caused a shortfall in the gas supply, pushing up prices for everyday goods and leaving people struggling to keep their homes warm and families fed. A combination of Western imposed sanctions on Russia due to its ongoing aggression in Ukraine, and Russia agreed back pushback cabin in 2 years of paramedic showdown, pandemic showdown, extreme weather conditions, and a range of factors are now sparking fears of ever even worse shortages of gas, electricity, and basic food stamps as Europe heads into the cold weather months. There's a very real sense of crisis because the European energy supply, which has largely been provided by Russia, is now being restricted. Alan Mendoza, executive director of the Henry Jackson Society, to Fox News Digital. These is a general fear in Europe that we might run dry of gas over the course of the winter. That is leading to stockpiling firstly to make sure that countries have as much gas as in their storages as possible. And secondly, many countries are looking at how they can restrict the use of electricity in order to make it last through the winter, he said. In addition, Europe is also eyeing al- alternative sources of energy from Norway to North Africa to the Mediterranean basin to ensure it will fill the shortage this year and end its reliance on Russia once and for all. Now, I'm gonna end that there. Um, this is um, now Putin said what he just said. He cut this all off. Now they're telling you that in Italy, the European nations are really, the people are getting really nervous. They're bracing for the shortage. They're also one part of them said they're protesting about the shortage, protesting how they're dealing with it. However, they are preparing for these shortages. They don't know how it's gonna go, and they see it. They see that it's getting cold, and they're saying that they lost a lot of people. Businesses are going to have to shut down. They're trying to see how they're going to can ration it out. Um, the gas, oil, and with all the other things that has hit them this year, the drought, the drying up of water, the no rain, lakes, the fires, they've been hit with other things that have also caused this to even this situation to even be worse than what it would have been just without the oil. They're suffering from the lack of electricity, gas, and oil, and food. So what they're suffering in so many categories, and they're going to have to. They're well. They said that they're feeling the stress. They're getting panicky they're feeling it. It's causing them to look like panic and to have people stockpiling so they can try to make it through. So they're stockpiling and stocking up on everything they can get. So that's also causing things to go a lot faster. So this is what's taking place with this, and they're saying that um, they're going to pull through as long as they stick together. They're going to make it through. However, you know, uh, Putin is saying, "Hey, this is what they want." They made decisions to come against us. They made these decisions to do what they're doing um, because of what's taking place with Ukraine, and Russia's doing fine with what's taking place, even though all the UN and countries and NATO is trying to put these cuts and sanctions on Russia, and they're like, "Hey, we'll get around it. We'll keep going and we'll keep building on our sovereignty. We're not gonna let y'all dictate and push us around." So that's that on that. Now, uh, this also uh, go in there, and then I'll do the last one. Might go a little over, however, we'll fit it in there. We're gonna get this in there within 5 minutes. All right. This is yeah, I'll do this and then I'll go into that. Um which would be a lot more easier for us. Here it is. No. Biden's. Let me say Biden's freeze. Okay, Biden's freeze. What happened? Okay, Biden's freeze on all gas leases on public lands and reinstated for now. President Joe Biden won temporary permission to once again pause energy leasing on federal lands and waters after a U.S. appeal court found a trial judge's order against the let me look at that. The moratorium to vague to review. The court on Wednesday threw out the judge's nationwide injunction forcing a restart of leasing from the Gulf of Mexico to Alaska and ordered the judge to revisit the issue. In the meantime, Biden paused stance. The ruling came in a dispute between the administration and 13 energy producing states led by Louisiana that sued to force Biden to resume leasing. He paused a week after taking office after the lower court last four issued it preliminary injunction against the leasing moratorium the governmental applied. Okay. We cannot reach the event of the government's challenge when we cannot ascertain from the record what conduct an unwritten agency policy, a writing policy outside the executive order or the executive order itself is enjoined, the appeals court wrote on Wednesday. it isn't clear what military effect the ruling will have under the Just Initiated Inflation Reduction Act, which provides hundreds of billions of dollars to high climate change. The Interior Department is required to hold two auctions of oil and gas leases in the Gulf of Mexico. So this is also tapping in with that all these things are connected as far as that oil and the oil shortage. Biden is um um they're talking about the oil caps and the closing of the oil drilling and things in Alaska, New Mexico, and that Biden, I think that's he said that Joe Biden is that he that the freeze on the oil gas leases on public land, it's the freeze is reinstated. So and there's a lot of companies, several companies that are upset about this freeze. So which is even worse than they said the oil and gas um, problem around the globe. So with them freezing that, uh, it's going to come and burn them later down the road. Basically, another thing they were saying because things are not being used, and if he's shutting them down when they need them, when they need the reserves are not going to be there because they're gonna have to start pumping instead of having those things on hand. So let us go to our last topic before we. Okay, let's get to the last topic, and then we'll do our roundabout, our roundup. So our last topic is hmm, our last topic is well, it's a two-part. Europe. I'm gonna read through them both. Europe. There it is. Okay. Europe doubts Iran intentions in nuclear talks, sparking Tehran ire. ire. Okay. France, Britain, and Germany on Saturday said they had serious doubts about Iran's intentions to revive the nuclear deal, comments that were rejected by Tehran and called very untimely by Moscow. Iran early this month said its latest response to the European Union's purpose text to restore the 2015 agreement under which Tehran had uh, restrained its nuclear program in exchange for relief from the U.S. and UN economic sanctions. Diplomats have said Iran's response to be EU coordinator was a step backwards, with it seeking a link, a revival of the deal with the closure of investigation to the Internal Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) into uranium trace at 3 sites. The IAEA Board of Governors met on Monday, 3 months after adopting a resolution urging Iran to give credibility answers to the watchdog on the issue. Ahead of that meeting, the European party to the deal vented their frustration. Excuse me. The latest demand rules serious doubts as to Iran's intentions and commitments to the successful outcome on the JCPOA. The three countries known as the E3 said in a statement referring to the deal full name, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Iran position contradicts the legal binding obligation and jeopardizes prospects of restarting the JCPOA. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesman Nasser Kanini said the statement was unconstructive, adding 3 European countries are advised to play a more active role in providing solutions to the end of few disagreements that remain, state media reported. Okay, let us read one more. If such an approach persists, the E3 should also take responsibility for its constituents, Kanini said without elaborating. The European statement also prompts Russia's envoy to the talks to respond on Twitter, calling it very untimely indeed. He dismissed the perceived blockage as something that was not a serious obstacle. Okay. Highlighting how entrenched position are before Newsweek, France negotiation, Philip era called out the Russian counterpart. There is no longer an active negotiation since Iran's last response, which unlike almost all your followers have had access to, he said on Twitter. You all are, what is that? You need you you need no vote. You know what responded that at least they agreed that there was no active negotiation. Then the U.S. President Donald Trump abandoned the deal in 2018 and reimposed U.S. sanctions, prompting Iran to start breaching the deal's nuclear curves and reviving U.S. Arab and Israeli fears it may be seeking an atomic bomb. Iran denies having nuclear ambition. Okay, that's that. That's the EU. We got to make this quick because we're over our time. We're gonna make this quick. This is the EU saying, the E3 saying that they doubt Iran's intentions in the nuclear talks is sparking. They doubting Iran really wants to serious doubt about Iran intentions to revive the nuclear deal. Comments that they were rejected by Tehran. So the E3 is now saying, see, this is why I have to keep going over this, because in one instance they're saying that it's off the table, but they're still talking somewhat or shooting some type of messages back and forth. However, the E3 said that they don't think Iran is serious or about reviving the JCPOA. So after they shared that, Iran responded right back. Iran responded right back saying, okay, Iran rejects as unconstructed a statement by France, Britain, and Germany on Saturday that said Tehran demands were jeopardizing talks to revive its 2015 nuclear deal with world powers. Iranian state media responded. Iran's foreign minister spokesman Nasser Kanani said that the statement was unconstructive, adding the three European countries are advised to play a more active role in providing solutions to end the few disagreements that remain. State media reported. In their statement, the three European powers vented their frustration at Iran's demand in nuclear calls that the UN nuclear watchdog close a probe into uranium traces found at 3 sites. So Iran responded. And that's a pretty quick response. Iran responded, in the same day. And I said they didn't think that um, France, Britain, and Germany's um, on Saturday. They said that Tehran demands were jeopardizing talks to revive its 2015 nuclear deal with world powers. Iranian state media said, now, it said Iran foreign minister spokesman Nasser Kanani said that the statement was it's unconstructive, adding the three European countries are advised to play a more active role. So he said that their opinion, it's not constructive. What they're saying is not constructive, and they gave a constructive. Tehran said they gave a constructive reply. Now y'all don't want it, but America said no, we're not taking that reply. You're gonna have to do exactly what we said, or you're gonna have to come to Biden's term, the Biden administration terms, or else. So, they keep going over it as if, Tehran hasn't changed. However, if that's the case, then Biden is already set. I mean, the whole thing is set up. If you're either going to, Iran's either going to sign exactly what Biden administration have put together and what they're showing, and either that, or it's going to be like they just told false Israel yesterday. What's that the day before? They told false Israel that the JCPOA was off the table and to prepare for phase 2. So, excuse me. This is what's taking place, and all these things are connected. Each and every topic we cover today, this is the topics that were in the headlines. Besides, the Queen of England, but it was back when I went and did my investigation. These was the back to back, and you can see that when Britain, Germany, and France responded, Iran responded right back. So, and they show you the responses. So, this JCPOA is definitely, well, let us start back with the water problem in Mississippi. I mean, this is a real serious problem, brothers and sisters, especially knowing that it's 80%, 83% black, and it's low income people. It's people there, and the water has lead in it, and it's not fit for drinking. It's not fit for cooking. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard scenario there, and it's hard. I know the people's going through a lot because to even have to sit there and go through this and live through it, it'll be just thinking it'll be easier just to get up and leave. Just get up and leave and move to another county, but it's not that simple when you don't have the funds or the wherewithal to do something like that. And then you have to sit there. It's something you pay for, homes, you got your job, and these things, you sitting there, you're out running water, and for it to get this bad, and it wouldn't be sitting in this state, knowing if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was 83% white, it wouldn't be sitting in this state. Um, the government and um, uh, and they would have had somebody in there doing working on the scenario right now, putting in work, finding the money and finding the necessary um, uh, wherewithal to make something happen to get running water in that city, and I mean running water quick, and the starting of the changing of those um, lead pipes with pushing lead into the homes, and where the people are dealing with lead. You can't cook that out. You don't want that on you. You don't want it bathed in it. You don't want it in your. You don't want to deal with nothing with lead in it. Period. You get lead poison. So it's just something that no brothers and sisters pay attention, because these type of things, these are sightings and signs for you to understand what type of things that can happen and overnight. So that, and then we went to Putin mocking, and this is going into the winter months of European nations not having all their electricity. They haven't even electricity shortage. All these things that they've been hit with so many things that it's not just an easy thing to say it's the oil and gas. No, it's the water shortage, it's the electricity shortage, it's all gas shortage, it's a food shortage, and with this power shortage, it's making shortages on work, businesses opening, all type of problems is taking place in the EU, in the European nations, and they're going to have to deal with that. And Putin is saying, hey, look, y'all can try all this stuff, all y'all sanctioning and all these things is backfiring, hurting y'all. These things is hurting the economic, the economic all around the world. People is being hurt by what y'all doing, but y'all insist in doing it, and something's wrong with you in that. And Putin said, well, we're gonna keep moving for our country's sovereignty. With that, Biden chimes in as well, with still stopping the any oil from coming out of America. They still held that up, and Europe is telling their people, literally, they're nervous. They have to gear up. Anxiety is kicking in. Uncertainty is kicking in on the people. They're stockpiling equipment. They're trying to figure out. They're really it's really starting to come home on them now, especially coming into September, knowing that how fast their temperature changes, and if the winter is anything close to how bad their summer is, then you know what kind of winter they're headed into. And Moscow, Putin said he's gonna he's gonna freeze them. He's gonna freeze them out. He's mocking them. I'm like, well, look, everybody that don't want to pay our prices or whatever, yeah, we'll tear up your contract and you won't get nothing. So, and basically, he's also saying that they over there not just stockpiling, personal stockpiling. The countries, the European countries, are snatching all the grains and things that are coming from Ukraine, that Russia let go out, and none of the things is making it to the lower, to the the less rich countries, and none of the things is making it to Africa, making it to the countries where Putin do his business with his allies, and he didn't been doing business with. Now they need what they agreed on. So it didn't get there. So Putin knows he's upset, and he's telling them, "Hey, um, shoot, y'all not gonna run nothing like that. Y'all gonna just Europeans are just taking all the grains in this line, and the people that supposed to get something ain't getting it." So that's that. And the last two was on the JCPOA. And the JCPOA is where we are now. We're really past it. They've gave the go ahead that is off the table. Gave false Israel the go ahead to go into Plan B. So we're in this time of the abomination of desolation. That's where we at, brothers and sisters. I mean, we can keep going over, but this is where we at in time. This is the next event we're looking at. We see the JCPOA has been taken off the table in their words, and Plan B is being looked at. So, with that being said, we're in this time. This is the next event that happens after the JCPOA is the war in the Middle East with Michael and his angels going to war with the dragon and his angels, which is the abomination of desolation. And Michael and his angels will remove the dragon and his angels, the house of Sod, Britain and America, and false Israel. Michael and his angels is going to remove the dragon and his angel, the house of Saudi Arabia, Britain and America is going to be removed from the Middle East, and false Israel is going to be sieged and then destroyed by Michael and his angels, Iran and Syria, Master Farad Muhammad. So that's where we are. That's the event that to have your eyes on, to give you the understanding this is the compass, this is where we are, this is where we at in time through the unsealed scriptures, the Injil. This is what the Injil key is shared with us. This is where the next event to take place, and we're telling you far in advance. So when you see this, you'll know what's taking place. You'll know what to do. You'll know that at when you see this, and if you're still in your towns or cities or wherever at home, you need to flee immediately. You're going to need to flee, because after this abomination of desolation and false Israel is taken down, they're going to know exactly who you are, and they're going to turn and try to take us all out. So you're going to need to flee to the Midwest. And with that, I'm going to bring this to a close. And I thank you for watching. And we will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock Eastern, and 9 o'clock Pacific. I'm going to greet you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.